So inflation hit a 30-year high in October, reported yesterday, and some sources are saying that Senator Joe Manchin will even punt on a vote for the big spending bill. So joining us now is Pennsylvania Senator Pat Toomey. Senator Toomey, as always, sir, welcome back. I don't know if you've heard anything to the like, but in general, I mean, I can see you agreeing with Joe Manchin that if you've got a big inflation number, which is not looking temporary anymore, why in God's name would we have a $4 or $5 trillion spending bill?
Yeah, this was a bad idea, even if we didn't have a record inflation number. But you're right, when inflation's running at a 30-year high, and let's not pretend anything to the contrary, the Biden administration is contributing a great deal to this inflation. You know, the combination of their anti-supply measures, like shutting down pipelines and banning drilling on federal lands, and all kinds of policies that make it harder to actually create goods and services. Meanwhile, a surge on the demand side by $1.9 trillion spending bill that the economy certainly did not need back in March. My goodness, there is actually a limit to how many trillions of dollars you can spend without doing damage. I certainly hope Joe Manchin will either persuade his Democratic colleagues or just stand up and refuse to go along with this. This bill is a disaster. We need to kill the bill.
Senator Toomey, here's something I don't understand. In plain daylight, on cameras, time after time, including yesterday, President Biden, with a straight face, tells America that this bill will reduce inflation. Now, I tell you, to me, any ordinary, hard-working, blue-collar, typical family person would say, huh? And he keeps maintaining this, Pat. How is that possible?
Yeah, I don't get that. I guess there's a theory that if you say it often enough, people will start to believe it. But I think the American people are way too smart to think that you can launch some multi-trillion-dollar spending bill that we don't need and that's not going to have an adverse impact on inflation. Good luck selling that story.
I mean, he says I hate to harp on it, but he says, oh, I've got 17 Nobel Prize winners who agree with me. I don't know who they are. I guess I could look them up. I'm not overwhelmed by these Nobel Prize winners. I mean, it's just basic common sense. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. He's looking at and that's why, incidentally, Pat, that you look at his polls on the question of honesty. Remember, he had a high honesty rating when he first came in. He has totally plunged into the 20s on honesty, telling people that Afghanistan was a tremendous success, and now telling people another 4 or 5 trillion is going to cut inflation. I mean, he's just digging his own grave.
No, it's true. And, you know, his cabinet telling us that the southern border is secure. I mean, the list goes on and on. And, you know, the American people they're not stupid. They're just not. And so this just isn't going to fly for them. They back themselves into a bad corner. But, you know, what the president should do, in my view, is call the actual infrastructure bill, call that a victory and push off the rest. But I think they're too committed to, the process of socializing America. So they're going to continue to push this. I don't know how it ends, but they're threatening to do a great deal of harm.
So, Senator Toomey, you are a tax expert, among other things. I just want to read a couple of these wonderful targeted tax credits that are inside this bill, at least on the House Ways and Means. Electric vehicle tax credits for the wealthy. You can get people earning up to $800,000 are eligible for this. EV tax credits for big corporations. They're going to carve out all the green welfare from this newfangled minimum corporate tax, right? They're going to carve out all the green projects. A SALT giveaways, state and local deduction giveaway to the wealthy. Here's one I'm trying to get myself, Pat. Local journalist tax credit. Gosh, I'd love to get one of those. I have no idea what it is. This is one, child tax credit for undocumented migrant children, all right? And then union wages for all green energy and union manufacturing. By the way, on the child tax credit, I mean, everyone wants to help the children, but the children have been helped enormously. some economists at the University of Chicago are saying it'll cost at least 1.5 million jobs because there's no work requirement.
Oh, yeah, no, they're adamantly opposed to work requirements, which we know are really, really important. We shouldn't be expanding these welfare programs. You know, the child tax credit for undocumented worker or people, what that is, it's a check for illegal immigrants. Let's just call it what it actually is. And just a tremendous amount of social engineering and government allocation of resources through the tax code. That's what they're doing here. Remember, one of the many things, Larry, that we accomplished with the tax reform of 2017, and you know this very well, we brought a complete end to corporate inversions. You know, the practice of companies moving headquarters overseas because America was had such a terrible tax code. We drove them out of the country, and hundreds of jobs with each company, or thousands when they did it. That came to a complete halt with our tax reform, and now they're going to totally blow up the reforms that we made on the international part of our tax code. And frankly, I expect we'll see a resumption of corporate inversions. The ways that this massive tax increase is going to do damage is really, really stunning. And it's going to do lasting damage if they get it done.
Yeah, but it's going to cut inflation. That's what the president keeps saying.
Oh, yeah, right. And Afghanistan went brilliantly.
I want to turn to, I know it's one of your favorite subjects, and that is the nomination of the new banking czar, controller of the currency czar, Ms. Omarova. So Moscow State University, you and I have talked about that. The Lenin Scholarship, we've talked about that. She comes to the United States. She's not like a refusenik. She doesn't renounce the Soviet Union. She defends them. Facebook, she was part of a Marxist study group on Facebook. But Senator Toomey, the latest one that surfaced, I think it was yesterday or the day before, you probably saw it, she basically hates banks but wants to deny bank credit, bank loans to any fossil fuel industry companies. That's her going in position. What you think about that?
Yeah, so this is a very, very dangerous movement that the far left has been pushing, and she is 100% in favor. And what I'm referring to is the idea that banking regulators, financial regulators generally, banking regulators in particular, should basically control the allocation of capital through onerous rules and regulations on banks and financial institutions. You make it implausible for them to lend money to any unfavored industry. At the moment, top of the list are fossil fuel companies, but who knows where that ends? Who knows who's politically out of favor on any given day? You know, sometimes the pharmaceutical companies are the villains of the day. Other times the insurance industry is the villains of the day. Right now, the fossil fuel industry, which, by the way, last time I checked, there were still automobiles on the road outside my house. People still need gas. But you're exactly right to point to this. She supports this really terrible idea that financial regulators should decide who is worthy of getting credit in America and who is not, and they should use their powers to allocate credit accordingly.
Well, you're right. I mean, that's an old Soviet Gosbank approach. You know, Senator, last thought quickly. Our pal Steve Forbes has a term now. He calls it modern socialism, by which he means socialism is not taking over the means of production, you know, like it did under the Soviet Union. It means you regulate everything, every nook and cranny. You know, just like this Omarova wants to regulate banking and deny loans. That's the tool of modern socialism, ultra overbearing regulation.
It's a great insight, as usual, by Steve Forbes. And that's the idea, right? Nominally, the private sector still owns whatever it is, but the government takes complete control. And that leaves you with essentially the same outcome. A government can't allocate resources in anything as complex as an economy, much less the leading economy in the world. It's just a terrible idea. I don't know how many times this has to be proven to be the failure that it is for people to get that this just doesn't work. But as we see, this administration hasn't learned the lesson.
Senator Toomey, as always, sir, thank you for your insights. Save America, kill the bill, please. Look forward to seeing you soon.